about this hot stream. We actually had Howie scheduled for last week, but I had pneumonia. So we had to reschedule for right after John Ramstead, who we just finished up with. That was a fantastic opening episode of the Hot Seats. If you don't know what a hot seat is, it's a guest opportunity to literally put me in the hot seat and ask me questions on the spot. And I'm going to absolutely give Howie my very best today. I've done a little bit of, usually I will do a little bit of research on somebody's platform. I happen to intimately know Howie's platform. We'll talk about that in a second, so that I can make sure to give the best advice. You have the opportunity to be on the hot seat too. You got to be a part of the Leverage to Scale Facebook community to sign up. And at the end of every month, we start filling slots for the next month. We go live every Tuesday. And today we have the honor of going live with Howie Craw. So Howie, I want to welcome you and give you the opportunity for a couple minutes to share, what is Howie Craw? What's he up to? And what is he really struggling with? We can start with a question and then we'll just go from there and see what comes.
Great, Amber. It is awesome to see you. And for somebody that had pneumonia, you're looking pretty good.
Thank you.
I don't know if somebody could recuperate and look this good as quickly as you have. Wow. So you are one resilient human being.
Yeah, oh, we do know that. That's what Howie talks on, is resiliency. And this is Resiliency Month too. But I don't want to spoil that. It
is, yeah. So basically, you and I met, it's hard to believe, only about a year and a few months ago while taking on a course at HPS, Heroic Public Speaking. And at that time, I was going through a transition in my life, leaving my, if you want to call Wall Street traditional, my Wall Street career to enter into a new world of public speaking, wanting to be an author, wanting to get my message out. So you and I connected, and you were there to help me with what was going to be a speaker website called howiecraw.com. We started working on that site. I took an opportunity and moved from Washington, D.C. to South Florida. And when I got here, we just, I got into this thing called Howie Doing It. And I immediately called you up and I said, Amber, what do? I need another site, or I need something different. And you and I then created this Howie Doing It website.
Look at that photo of you, man. I freaking love your latest photos. Dang.
You like those?
Love it.
These are the podcast guests that you're showing. Every fourth episode I'm on. And there's some great people there. Stop a second. Yeah. So, if you go up one more, you'll see that Seth Goldman right there. He is the founder of Honest Tea and the executive chairman of Beyond Meat, which is sweeping the country now as an alternative to meat. And after that, Alan Stein from Raise Your Game. And we've just had incredible guests. And that one right there, those are Christopher Reeve's son and daughter. That's Marcella. She's climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in 3 weeks. She's a paraplegic and lost her leg in a car accident. Look at that smile. Look at that night. We were up in New York for
so that's when it started, because I saw you talking about that on your live stream today.
Alan Brown, who, if you scroll down a few, and Jamie Lassner, this guy here, Shay. I mean, I'm just, since we started,
great.
Marcella right there. And it's just an amazing what's been going on. So I guess what we worked on together were a couple of websites. And since then, I've created this daily where at 7:00 Eastern time, regardless of where I am in the world, I show up with a message of the day, a word, quotes. And I keep it now to under 4 minutes, so it's quick. I do it at 6:55 a.m. Eastern time on Instagram, and then I do it live at 7:00 on Facebook. I think today we hit somewhere around 320 consecutive days.
319, I think I saw. Yeah.
You could be right. Thank you. Somebody's paying attention.
No, seriously though, guys, imagine that. Every single morning for nearly 320 days. Howie has gone live on Facebook and Instagram to share his message on resiliency. And sometimes it's a topic on finances or relationships or doubt or shame or fear or guilt or happiness and joyfulness and mindfulness every single day. Then on top of that, adds a podcast. Then on top of that's writing a book, right? He's doing speaking. He's out in the world. He's using his gifts and not letting fear get in his way. So Howie, I will continue to spread the heck out of your message because you are a leader for so many people, what it takes to really just get yourself up and out into the world. I applaud you, sir.
Thank you. And
okay, so what are your questions though?
Okay.
What's
So here I am. I'm a numbers guy. I'm competitive.
Numbers guy.
I want more. I don't have a lot of patience. So here I am showing up every day. Everybody's telling me you're amazing. You're incredible. You never miss a day. The content's great. How do I get more people? How do I get more followers? So my first question to you is, what I'm learning in this world that we're in is an email list with real names, people that read my newsletter. How do I grow it? Teach me. How do I get more people to come over and give me an opt-in their email addresses?
Whew, I just got like these ideas flooding through. I'm trying to, keep them straight. Have you surveyed your audience recently at all?
Probably not.
Okay. So many times we just put content out, but we don't actually know who's listening and who's paying attention and what they really need. We think we know based on our own experience or because we were there at one point, but we don't actually know. I always tell the story of this coaching client that I had in the UK. She built the most gorgeous website, excellent sales copy, great customer journey, very obvious, easy to navigate. She had a great opt-in offer. She had the most sexiest program you've ever seen. It was done perfectly. Her funnel was done perfectly. And her program was all about how to have an easy labor. And so she came to me as a last ditch effort. She's like, Amber, nobody cares about my course. Nobody is buying it. I don't understand. I did everything by the book. Well, a lot of people say that. So I went through an audit and it turns out she was like one of the anomalies. She was right. She did it all by the book. And I was dumbfounded by why she was not successful. So I said, always going back to the core, I said, we got to survey your audience. She sent an email to her email list with, I think it was 3 questions. You want to know what we find out? The people that she had been attracting in were not even pregnant yet. They were following her because they wanted to know what it was like to be pregnant or how to prepare, but they were not yet pregnant. So they didn't need a course on how to have an easy labor. So knowing this information like cracked open so much, she goes back, she creates a course on how to get pregnant. Everybody buys. And now that everybody was pregnant, everybody buys the subsequent course on how to have an easy labor. So sometimes we just don't know who's attracting in. And you know what, Howie? Everybody loves what you're doing. You know it. I know it. I see it all the time. But what we don't know is why they love it and what they want more of and in what format. So I think the first thing is that we could survey both in email and also during your actual live stream episodes or inside of social media. The more even in direct messenger on Facebook, the more conversations we can have. And I would keep it to about 3 questions, like, why are you such a fan of what I'm doing? What are you getting out of it would be a good thing to know, right? What could I change to make it even better for you? Is it a different format? Is it a different frequency? What could be improved so that this was something that you couldn't wait to share with all of your friends? Are you on my email list? Why or why not? You could do something like that even. We might find out, Howie, that people don't feel a need to be on your email list because the content that they need is already on social media. So maybe you don't care as much about your email list as long as we're getting that engagement and people are really loyal to you on social media. We don't know unless we survey. That's where the data is. So that's the first thing that comes through. But the second thing that comes through is I think it's time that you and your team look into, it's like a software tool that allows people to text a code. And when they text a certain code, they automatically subscribe to your email list and perhaps even get like something as a reward for that, right? So you might say on all of your live streams, hey, if you love this live stream, text 4276 to the phone number right here, and you hold up a piece of paper, whatever you're doing. And when you do that, text is coming back to you with a special quote or a special freebie or a special something that I just know you're going to love on this topic today. All of a sudden, dude, I bet you start getting email subscribers like crazy just by texting, because I have a feeling most of the people watching you are watching through their phone.
I would agree with that.
Those are 2 ideas.
All right, 2. I didn't know if we were going for a 3. All right, you're back on the hot seat.
Woo!
That was great. And I have to thank you because I have another Amber that helps me, and she's awesome. So I know that when you mention a program like that, where I go is, oh, no, I know we got it under control.
And if not, you'll reach out to me and ask. That's a good question to post in the Leverage to Scale Facebook community too. There are lots of different software tools. And for those of you watching right now, comment below. Let me know what you think about the 2 tips we just gave to Howie. Did that make an impact on you and your business too? I got to know. All right, Howie, what else is on your mind?
So, again, yeah, it's always fun to be with you. It's just, it's amazing that we think this is work,
I know, totally.
I am so enjoying this journey. I've met such incredible people, as I celebrated the beginning of a new year and a new decade. I am beyond grateful. 2019, it's impossible to think how many amazing, incredible, phenomenal people knew in my life. My life is already filled with so many great relationships. But this journey that you saw me begin has opened up so many doors, stages, conversations. And it's really, I take this line from Alan Stein, be where your feet are.
Love that, yes.
Servicing people, helping others. I mean, it's just amazing because I come from the Wall Street world, which is all about chasing money. I have no problem with money, but it's not the be all and the end all. You learn that later. And just being able to help and service people from my journey, which has been anything but a straight line journey. It's had its ups, its downs, its peaks, its valleys. And that's obviously where that whole resilience has been born. So second question, being that Wall Street numbers. And the thing too is that, because it's all visible there, like, Amber was telling me that Instagram's thinking of taking away the like button. Mm-hmm. And so, we get caught up in the numbers again. So here we are. I'm recently new to LinkedIn and I'm absolutely loving it. I believe that's where I belong. I am going to continue to be faithful to Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, but there seems to be a business environment within the walls and confines of LinkedIn. So I'd ask you again, what are your best tips to really grow my connections and followers in the LinkedIn community?
Well, the good news is that LinkedIn is probably one of the easiest things to grow because everybody is always in search of expanding their own network. So you're getting requests like crazy. I do filter out many of the requests because a lot of them are just other businesses wanting to spam me, but we're still growing our LinkedIn by a landslide over other networks every single week without paid advertising. So it's already a network. It's already a network designed to attract in more people quickly, as long as you're posting on a regular basis and you're posting content that is of what LinkedIn wants to see and experience. Because LinkedIn, that environment is very finicky and people are very opinionated. So if you are posting something that is more like personal development, people will get heated about that and they will not like that. Whereas you have a lot more leniency to talk about anything on the other networks, which is why Facebook still is king and Instagram is queen, right? So with LinkedIn, it has to be use mindfulness to move your business forward, not your life, your business in this very specific way in your business, right? Or here's how to teach mindfulness to your team to develop leadership within your organization, right? So when you are that specific, then LinkedIn loves that. Another thing is Amber K can research and apply to get you into the beta program for LinkedIn live streaming,
I've
if
heard
you
of it.
haven't already. You could also apply for a LinkedIn learning course. She can also Google that for you. But this is where LinkedIn could pay to feature you in a curriculum inside of their LinkedIn Learning Center, which would really explode your credibility and your exposure. Getting really in the habit of creating really great articles within the LinkedIn blog environment. They have like their own internal blog. And for that, it's very text-based, it's facts, it's research driven. It's not as stale as like a medical article, but it's sort of in between what you do now on Instagram and maybe a medical article, right? And so it's straight text, and you could go model some of the top articles that are trending inside of that environment and see how they're structuring their blog posts and just model that for your content. But that has been a very significant way to grow the following. My personal thing when it comes to like LinkedIn groups, they're very spammy and usually not effective, but there are some groups that if you are very, very patient to find the right groups, it can be like a gold mine. I don't know that I would have you invest heavily into groups just yet, because there's so many of these other things that we just spoke about that I'd focus on first. But definitely that's just a next level. And Facebook has groups, right? But LinkedIn groups can be a gold mine if sourced properly. So those are some things that come to mind to start with.
Yeah, we recently launched the Howie Doing It community group, and we're going so much deeper in there. And even though I haven't sent out that survey, we do get a lot of engagement. We do get a lot of
Good.
conversation. And so that is a serious area where things are getting done.
Good. Yep. And, sometimes for a numbers guy, we don't look at conversations as data, but how people explain their problems, how they pose their questions, the keywords that they use in comments, that is data and that is gold. So having a way for you and Amber and any other future team members to analyze that data, that communication, to bring it back into the core of the organization to help propel your speaking, your live streams, your book, etc. That's something to maybe focus on a little bit more too.
Great. So here we go. So I launched a podcast. So at the same time, I'm launching all these different verticals.
Yeah.
And I think that, we have great guests with great content. And again, how do you grow that audience? I keep showing up every week. I keep putting out great content with great show notes. We got some sponsorship now. And again, what advice would you give somebody with 20 episodes in, one a week? Your episode will be coming up shortly. What would you recommend the best ways to drive an audience in a sea of 750,000 podcasts that are out there?
Just got a couple of ideas. Okay, so the first one is that with all of the spare time that you have, Howie, I think it's important that you continue to make time for getting interviewed on other people's podcasts, right?
Right.
That's so important. Sometimes we're so focused on developing and I'm not saying you, sometimes we're so focused on developing our own content that we forget, it's not just about my stuff. It's about capturing the biggest amount of market share, right? So if we look at the internet as online real estate, right? You got all the houses in the offline world. So how do I capture as much of that online real estate as possible? Well, of course, your own content is going to take market share, but getting your content on other people's podcasts and then getting you featured in other publications like Forbes, Huffington Post, Inc., etc., all of that. Now you're sprinkled all over the internet. And then there's this island of Howie that's really dense with content, but it's the sprinkling that I think you need to focus on right now. Even if you could do one interview a week on other people's podcasts, that's better than a couple a month, right? I think I'm doing like 2 a week right now, and I literally don't have time to do more than that. But at least I know that 2 a week publishing out there is going to help that sprinkling effect. And every single time you do that, you're leveraging their community. Think about how hard you have worked your ass off in the past year to build up the community that you have. Well, they have too. And when you come on and just answer questions in 30 minutes to their episode, you get exposed to that whole community, and that can drive back faster into your own. And it's also bringing awareness into your own podcast. Podcasters love helping out other podcasters. So it's even easier for you to get on top rated shows, which is what I would have you focus your time on, because you don't have a lot of time. So people that have over 100 episodes, people that are ranked higher inside of iTunes categories, that's where I would really have you focus. Sprinkle those in. It'll get people coming back, and it'll also grow awareness of your own podcast and grow your rankings too. But the second thing that comes to mind is that I think that there's work to be done on a structure for how you are communicating with your guests that's going to benefit you further. So what I mean is, I've been a part of podcasts where first of all, they have me fill out like almost a little survey in the beginning so that I can share some of my messages, which actually for you is great market research, but also helps you get into the zone for that episode faster. So they have that structure, which also conditions me as the guest to take action with them, right? And it just puts them in a different status than if they don't have that, believe it or not. It's like, wow, they must really have their stuff together. They have all this stuff in place, right? So it must be a good show. So you start with a survey, then you immediately say, thank you. Now what I ask all of my guests to do is subscribe to my podcast and to write a review. So please go do that now. Just the very act of each guest subscribing and adding reviews starts to beef up your profile, which is going to help you get better rankings in iTunes, which is going to get you more viewers coming in. So then, you could ask them you could send a sample social media post and like an image. And just before or after the recording, you could say, thanks so much for being a guest. Let's say, feel free to tell your community that we just recorded the episode and you look forward to its release in the future, and just share one thing that you thought was fun that we spoke about. Here's kind of a rough template. So now they are sharing about you and your podcast before the episode ever even came out. So by you having this structure in place that your team can follow, are you already seeing how, wow, I could get more subscriptions, more reviews, more social media exposure, and I haven't even released their episode yet. So then it's like, well, what could we have happen once the episode is released? Have them make another social media post. If they haven't yet made a review or subscribed, I ask them to do that again. And then I'm going to ask them to give me names of 2 other guests that I should be interviewing as well. And then I might ask them for something else. I mean, why not? The worst that happens is they say no, but the best thing that happens is now you guys are supporting each other in a bigger way. And it's a bigger win-win than them just coming on and taking advantage of your platform with good intentions, of course. But, how does that feel when I say all that?
I think it's great. I was on a podcast this morning with Jason Frizzell, who we know from HPS, and Jason's a tech guy. So he's really systematized his whole inviting me on, having me on. And I do a lot of the things that you mentioned. And, obviously technology is not it's not my background or where I'm really most comfortable. I just want to get out and talk more. And there's these systems that the better Jack Daly, who is my mentor, talks about systems and process. And that's one of the things I love about working with you, because you make it all sound so easy, because you are ridiculously organized. You have an incredible team behind you. And it's like even leading to this, right? And you're just organized. And I'm getting there. but there's always room for improvement. The fact that I haven't asked the last 20 guests to rate and review, or just subscribe to me, or 2 recommendations, they all would give me, I just got to ask. So I think, I have this, when people say to me, what's the advice you want to give people? And I always say, just show up. You got to show up. And when you show up, you never know what's going to happen. It's also, you just got to ask. So I listen to you. I feel like I'm doing a lot of the things that you say, but there's always room for improvement. And that's why I always enjoy our time together, because there are always actionable, real takeaways that could improve on what I'm already doing. And for that, I really thank you.
Awesome feedback, Howie. And thank you for that. And what comes through for me is that as entrepreneurs, we are always stimulated, right? We're like, what's the next idea? What else should I be doing? Shiny object syndrome. And we move on before we should. So the value in having these conversations is to remember, like, oh, I could fine tune this, I could tweak this, I could systematize this. And only when you feel like, okay, we've got the process down, then allow yourself to open up to the next ideas, right? But most people have, like, I've gotten 70% down the road in all of these paths now, and it becomes challenging to reap the real rewards of the work that you're doing. So I'm happy to help you systematize and structure anytime. I know we're out of our time here today. I thought that was a very valuable hot seat. So excellent job. Thank you for preparing in advance and allowing us to just hit it hard really fast right out of the gates. I think that people are going to get a lot of value out of it. I'd love to know what your nugget was. If you can post that in the comments below.
Absolutely.
Let's thank Howie for his time and coming on. We have another hot seat every single Tuesday at 9 a.m. Mountain. So come on next week and the week after that, and then muster up some courage to volunteer to be on a hot seat next month as well. And we just appreciate you. Anything else you want to say, Howie?
I just appreciate you. I appreciate all the advice that you've given me since I started this journey. I'm really proud in watching you grow your businesses and all that you're accomplishing. I'm glad you're feeling better, and continue to just keep doing what you do, and you're amazing. And I appreciate our relationship. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
All right. Take care. Have a